Notion has released what I think is a really neat update. So it's their Q&A, AI-powered Q&A. So what that is basically doing, right, there's probably something to do with a large language model that's taking your questions and going through your database or your Notion space and returning helpful content. So let's get into this. I want to show you some actual searches and kind of how it works and some areas where maybe it doesn't work so good and how to get around that. If you want, of course, come check out their actual blog post for more detailed information on that. But let's go into how this actually works. So I pulled this up, for example, I was on this page. It's basically notes from going through a course. And I said, hey, can you summarize the page I'm on? Seems like a pretty easy one and something I think a lot of people would use, but I got this repeatedly. I'm sorry, but I can't provide a summary because I don't have information about the specific page you're on. So in a way, that's kind of good. It's not like it's tracking you, I guess, although I'm not too worried about that. If it's in my content already and able to access everything, hopefully they are able to update that in the future so you can use more contextual information like that. So what I did was copy and paste the title and said, can you summarize the page titled? And then just copied and pasted the title. And it gave me, here it is. Here's the in-depth guide. It gave me a very good summary. And then the top link, it said 10 pages found, and it gave me the link to that page right there. So that's something to be aware of as you use this. If you're using it for summarizing, you may need to do a little work, and you can't just ask it right now, as of the recording of this video, to summarize the page you're on. But this brings up some other interesting ideas too, because what you can do is ask it. You don't have to do it from this little thing right here. What they call it sparkles, I guess, in the bottom right corner. You can either open up your sidebar if you have it shut, or Command or Control K, and ask it a question. And you can ask it things like, what was the last thing I wrote about email? The things I'm asking here is what was the last thing, so time-wise, and a content topic. And if I ask about that, this is where it can get kind of interesting. It's basically able to deal with time frames and what you're asking for. And it said the most recent document you wrote was this. And it includes this, and then it gives you the link. You can go and click on that and go right to it. So that's really helpful. So you could think about it finding something else you wrote. So let's say you were taking notes on a class last week. You could say, hey, could you bring up my bio notes from last week? Or what were the highlights of my bio notes from last week? Maybe you had a meeting that you have titled Leadership Meeting. What were the action items from my last leadership meeting? So you're giving it a time frame and a topic, and it can go in there and do a lot with it. So I think that is where some of the power is going to be, also for finding things that you're really kind of, maybe you wrote a few things and you're not sure where it is. That could be something to really just more powerful search, help you find something. Or again, perhaps you're looking for multiple things at once in one area, and you're like, hey, give me everything I wrote on protein crystallography, and I want to have all of those. And you've got 10 articles, and you find those really quickly instead of having to go in and search and see just where it's mentioned. This could definitely help you if you're like me and you end up with some scattered notes and some fragments around, some things like that. So I think that, again, there's some ways to do this. We could take highlights and I could probably say, hey, grab the highlights from this page from each episode of this podcast I produced. So lots of neat things to do. Just, be careful about how you're approaching it. As you've seen, it won't just straight up summarize a page. You're going to need to give it some directions, but already found it helpful. And I'm just kind of thinking of it now as a very, very powerful kind of search buddy. But it can also do more than that. So give it a shot. And I say, like with a lot of these tools, it's using it yourself and finding some examples. So hopefully you took something away from this, like summarizing the pages and how to do that, using those and finding what other people are doing, and then using it yourself to get the best results with this. And I can guarantee that Notion Q&A with the AI is going to improve over time. Hey, I'm Adam Moody with the Productivity Academy. If you're into stuff like this, automation, productivity apps, time management, go check out the other videos on the Productivity Academy channel and leave me a comment. All right, have a good one.